Quest holds golden armbands congruent with Kel's spirits, empowering him to manifest fiery ones as well. This is a benefit of being a divine construct. However, even this advantage is insufficient to prepare Kel for impending events. Thus, Mord concentrates on Kel's training, urging him to refine his command over the diverse spirits he governs, to prevent him from being a mere spectator in forthcoming battles. For his own protection, Mord selects a ring that generates a defensive shield whenever an imminent threat arises, and a bracelet that reserves mana for withdrawal when necessary. But the incursion isn't over yet. The desired world peace resides within the Archmage statue. 3 days later, he conquers the ruin concealed behind a cascade. He not only acquires his 7th world peace, but also a trove of ether stones. These stones are a crucial component for mana. They're utilized in crafting enchanted artifacts for personal use or commerce. The new piece fuses with another in his possession, resulting in a 3-to-2 combination, 1-to-1. An incredibly fortunate event, considering there are potentially hundreds scattered throughout the world. The probability of just 7 forming a group is astronomical. They finally reach their next destination for respite. Mord quickly depletes Kel's funds, faster than Sadia incinerated the corpses. Kel remains unconcerned, as this is a trivial expense, compared to the formidable items acquired throughout their expedition. Thus far, he voices his apprehension regarding Mord's intention to journey to the Midwest, all the way from the eastern reaches of the Rutbound Kingdom. Our shrewd protagonist implemented this precaution due to his aversion to handling nuisances, such as the silver blood riffraff. The second matter remains a clandestine detail, one he opts to withhold until they arrive at their intended location. Before Kel can articulate his vexation at perpetually being left in the shadows, he discerns that the patrons within the tavern are persistently gawking and muttering in their direction. This could potentially be attributed to Mord having amassed a mountain of food plates, as if he had been enduring a protracted famine. When one of these inconsequential bystanders approaches them and inquires if they are soldiers of fortune, presuming the 2 men outside the town to be mercenaries, the unremarkable fellow informs them of the emergence of ogres, commencing a fortnight prior. These creatures have been relentlessly tormenting the village inhabitants, leaving them utterly powerless to repel the menacing threat. They did, however, manage to vanquish one through overwhelming numbers, but the ogre's counterattack was far more brutal, resulting in a multitude of fatalities. Seemingly from thin air, an enigmatic figure materialized and proposed assistance to the villagers, vowing to vanquish the ogres with effortless ease. However, on this critical day, he has vanished, as he failed to return by his customary hour before sunset. Mord is consumed by curiosity about this individual. Upon hearing the depiction of the mysterious figure, light brown hair, tall and powerfully built like Mord himself, and wielding a colossal 2-handed greatsword, the two embark on a quest to locate this man. They stumble upon a minor demonic incursion, with the butchered remains of numerous demons scattered across the ground. The demonic invasion remains incomplete, which explains the village's current safety. Therefore, Kel surmises it must be a bird, a lone knight skillfully handling the chaos, an anomaly for a seasoned combatant. Yet, not entirely improbable, as bare-handed fighting is a chosen method. Mord surmises he pursues Ryan, due to parallel incidents within the novel's narrative. Thus, he must now be nearing the war god's relic. But first, they must overcome this grotesque, demonic corruption. A tremor shattered the earth, exposing the remnants beneath. Decayed since the demonization dungeon's genesis. All of this is foreign to Mord, for Ryan's dungeon journey lacks documentation. Forgetfulness is an unlikely explanation. Seizing this fortunate turn, he plunges into the abyss. Meanwhile, within the dungeon's depths, encircled by a horde of undead, a fallen warrior, imbued with sacred blood, lies defeated, his blade shattered. Yet his resolve remains, determined to see this conflict through. Until vanquished, these undead adversaries are remnants of the formidable Byrna's Legion. Truly formidable, they are a force too potent for a lone warrior to overcome. And possessing the capacity for speech, they present a challenge far more intricate to confront. Incapable of summoning the requisite mana, The presumed Ryan reverts to his original state, yet remains resolute, embracing a valiant death in combat. However, his noble demise is postponed for future encounters, as a sudden azure thunderbolt obliterates the Byrna's undead. In a fleeting moment, all on the battlefield are left, utterly astonished by this unexpected turn of events. It appears these undead were mere marionettes, manipulated by an entity from the infernal realm. Mord deems it prudent to remain silent and swiftly eradicate these insignificant foes. The undead harbor a yearning for destruction, believing their skeletal forms and endless regeneration will grant them the power to vanquish Mord. But this formidable warrior possesses techniques to subdue adversaries, possessing even the most peculiar attributes. Thus, it's unavoidable that he surpasses their immortality. In mere moments precisely that transpired, he unleashed Shatter Mirage and Impulse Balls to utterly obliterate the marionettes, without even resorting to his divine blood release form. The demonic lord's moniker is Count Virgin, and he severs the life support of his puppet to avert further humiliation by Mord, who then pulverizes the skull for its incessant chatter. Ryan is astonished to witness a young man dispatch foes he couldn't even vanquish with his divine blood release. Kell approaches and prattles about them, revealing his knowledge of Ryan, which makes him wary of them, as he suspects they intend to retrieve him and return him to Burns Castle. Mord scrutinizes the man by his trembling and deduces that he differs from the Ryan depicted in the original novel. That Ryan was a top 5 contender for the throne, but abandoned his house 5 years prior because he didn't want to get embroiled in familial disputes, later evolving into a staunch ally for Aiden. But the Ryan before them is a bundle of nerves, unable to differentiate friend from foe, so he brusquely dismisses them. The disparity in treatment he receives from Mord and Kell is astonishing. The brawny man treats him with disdain, while the diminutive elf holds him in the highest regard as a fellow seasoned warrior, an unexpected display of respect that both shocks and humbles him. Unintentionally, yet profoundly, Kell playfully chides him, stating that House Byrnas isn't seeking him out, much less dispatching shadows to follow him. This causes him to flush crimson, leaving Mord bewildered. He envisioned Ryan as callous and haughty, but the individual before him is timid and anxious, lacking composure. The new Ryan mortifiedly recognizes his blunder and apologizes for rashly presuming them to be malicious. Ryan has endured the universal experience of younger siblings, being measured against the accomplishments of his exceptional elder brothers, with no support from his kin, though they were utterly incapable of intervention. Maturing did little to alleviate his predicament. He departed immediately after his mother succumbed to disease, liberated from the constraints of insignificant familial obligations. His initial objective was to procure a relic of the God of Strife, an artifact rumored to transcend his limitations, empowering him to rival his siblings in strength. This quest also promised high-tier armaments and celestial benedictions. 5 years hence, Aiden will encounter Ryan and coerce him to rejoin the contest for dominance. It compels one to question if this individual ever possessed heroic qualities. Aiden triumphs in manipulating Ryan into becoming the Archmage, thereby acquiring all the fragments of the world. After beguiling him with the illusion of salvation, Aiden obliterates Ryan's reality, transforming it into a perverse utopia. Mord directs Kell to extract Ryan from the depths of the dungeon, restoring his health beforehand, because dragging a wounded liability through a perilous predicament is impractical. Furthermore, Ryan would merely be an encumbrance to the formidable lone warrior, considering he's a shadow of his former extraordinary self depicted in the novel. Ryan reluctantly accepts this harsh reality. This unexpected acquiescence astonishes Mord, who is prepared to eject him. As Kell and Ryan depart, Mord commences his quest for the dungeon's entrance, utilizing one of Kell's wind spirits as a guide to facilitate tracking. He then obliterates the numerous subterranean strata, because brute force has always been his favorite method. He discovers a library containing ancient chronicles of the vanquished from the supremacy struggle within House Byrnas. These include combat methodologies for their augmented forms. He stores them within his dimensional satchel, exploiting its limitless, unsubscribed expanded capacity. He then directs his attention toward the relic of the God of Struggle, solely attainable by the deity's progeny, which is revealed to be another world fragment. Evidently, it merged with a prior pair, now completing the sequence 3-3-1-1. He also unearths the stone tablet, that enabled Ryan's encounter with the god of combat. However, Mord's enthusiastic response upon contacting the tablet appears peculiar. Since when has this individual ever displayed a smile? He revels in reliving the legacy of the god of combat's training, essentially usurping the very element that established Ryan as an indispensable part of the narrative. The god of combat's belt is yet another artifact Mord discovers, which is strange, considering we never officially witness the ancient exhibitionist adorned in trousers. When the god of combat, Burnus, vanquished her, he utilized her hide to fashion this belt, because the man couldn't quell his insatiable bloodlust, until he drove an entire species into oblivion. Kell arrives in the library and observes Mord completely adorned in the dragon belt, deducing that Mord's sole intention was to eliminate Ryan, to enhance his appearance. Outside the dungeon, Ryan sits with a crestfallen expression, dejected because he was too feeble to continue. But he must compose himself. As Mord and Kell return, he formally expresses his gratitude to Mord once more, and only exchanges names after the crisis has been resolved. Upon discovering that Mord hails from beyond House Burnus, Ryan contemplates the main lineage and discerns that there was never anyone bearing the same name as him. He inquisitively inquires about Mord's age. Upon hearing that the fully developed, imposingly muscular behemoth before him is a mere 15 years old, Ryan joins the ranks of those who have lost all grasp on reality. He poses a multitude of questions about the preposterous existence that is Mord a comprehensible response. However, Mord asserts his authority by declining to address any inquiries, and promptly determines the subsequent course of action, assuring the villagers that the threat has been neutralized and their rescuer is redeemed. Mord suggests Ryan rest and nourish himself, claiming it will suffice for his divine blood form to return. Their exchange feels strangely detached. Mord deliberately acts curtly towards Ryan, offering no straightforward explanations, until Ryan makes an unexpected proposition to accompany Mord if he has no further business with House Burnus. He presses Mord for a reason, but Mord seems uncertain himself. His response hints at disillusionment, yet Mord chooses to be magnanimous, granting Ryan a day for contemplation, to formulate a suitable justification, one that demonstrates his unwavering commitment to this perilous expedition, before expending his energy further. However, on this matter, they arrive at the celebratory feast, the promised reward from the village elder for vanquishing the murderous ogres. Humility is a foreign concept to these men, and revealing their innermost aspirations, Kell petitions for travel provisions. Ryan beseeches a replacement for his blade, while Mord implores for a secluded sanctuary for his train. Upon gaining access to the chamber, Mord anoints the relic of the deity of combat with his own blood, stepping into a singular phantasmagorical realm. Yet, he is greeted by the familiar visage of the ancient Burnus, irrespective of the eons that have elapsed. The seasoned warrior's vitality remains undiminished, for he is not a mere echo of the true divinity, but a celestial apparition dispatched from the heavens above. He materializes when his progeny require his guidance. However, before engaging in the impending melee, Mord poses two inquiries to his deity: the cause of the dwindling lifespan of his subsequent generations, and the detrimental consequences, such as the aging process that occurs after surpassing certain thresholds of divine blood. He elaborates on his inquisitiveness, casting a pall of discouragement over the seasoned warrior, as his current manifestation is nothing short of a diabolic overlord, whose power rivals that of the divine Burnus himself. At the fourth stage of divine blood liberation, he devours his own progeny to solidify his dominion over the throne. The seasoned Burnus deduces that Mord's bloodline might have been tainted by an ancient race, one that existed briefly but left an indelible mark. One plausible hypothesis is that the lineage has endured for 4 centuries. Mord remains oblivious to the veracity of this theory, lacking any prior understanding of the aging process from the source material. But he has little opportunity to dwell on this matter, for the zealously youthful descendant of Burnus abruptly descends, eager to engage in combat with the perceived weakling, who retreated on a technicality due to time constraints. The sudden termination of a rather enlightening dialogue is punctuated by the youngling's flamboyant arrival, and lo and behold, he is wearing trousers. Mord is akin to that friend who abruptly abandons a game indefinitely after vanquishing his more adept comrade once, a defeat young Burnus found quite irksome. He's now poised to